Paw Patrol. Two words that likely chances have already flooded your head with various clips, shorts, or even the toys that stock the shelves. This show, for all intents purposes, is likely one of the most popular kid shows on Nick Jr. even today, ever to date. Think about it. This show alone has garnished more money over the years from just airing on Nick Jr. alone. Count the constant merchandising, commercials, and hell, even a freaking movie as well. And you know that this was going to keep on going on until it couldn't go any further. If anything, this is pretty much Nick Jr.'s versions of SpongeBob SquarePants that seems to just keep on giving as it can give. While I will admit that it's rather impressive that a simple show about puppies managed to get this popular, despite the fact that many shows in the past have pretty much used the same kind of premise, it's still a rather annoying thing to see it constantly on television. But I think the scariest part about this whole thing is the fact that there are some crazy adult fans of the show than there are kid fans. Now, before anyone comes at me with hate mail, I have no issue with people like this who like this kind of thing. Heck, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic became about as popular as they could just from the bronies alone. Although, even with that being said, there are still bound to be people who would become crazily obsessed with a show and wound up ruining their lives out of a complete dedication for it. Or worse, the innocent people who do like the show getting harassed online, bullied by people at school, or even attempting suicide due to said harassment. Yes, it's a screwed up world that we all live in, people, but it's the world that we live in. As for me, personally I think the show that is okay at best and god-awful at worst. Sometimes there are days that I'm watching the show with my cousin, and I just want to smash my head into every single adult of that freaking show. Seriously, how in the world can these people be so stupid? I mean, I get it that it's a common trope for adults to act like idiots in kid shows. I mean, while the kids are sometimes as smart as Michelangelo, but the very fact that it's a show geared for 5-year-olds, I mean, hearing their annoying pestering voices of Mayor Goodway, the stereotypical villain-esque ideas of Mayor Humdinger, why he isn't in jail for the stuff that he's done on the show is anybody's guess. And the constant alliterations that freaking Captain Turbot constantly utters is enough to make me want to go to my kitchen, pull out a screwdriver, and clean my ears with it until my ears lubricated from the blood that's spilling out of it. Is there anything about the show that I do like? Well, other than the actual puppies and Ryder, there really isn't much else about the show that I enjoy. If anything, I actually feel pretty bad for the pups and the fact that they have to deal with the town's constant stupidity, while having to also waste their time helping out or saving someone in the process. How this show remained popular because of all this insanity is beyond my comprehension. Although, if I did have a theory, it would be that it's likely enjoyed by people who find the constant stupidity to be a lot more funny and ironic than anything else. However, now that I think about it, I actually do know somebody that was an avid fan of Paw Patrol. He was around my age, about 23 years old, and seemed to have a deep interest in the show. Heck, he even recorded some of the episodes onto DVR discs to keep for himself, which I never really understood to this day, given the fact that DVRs were already a thing at that time. His walls and room in the apartment were nearly decorated with anything that had to do with Paw Patrol. Plush toys, posters, fan art, really good ones I might admit. Calendars, costumes, and even a custom-made toaster with the Paw Patrol logo on it. To say that he was obsessed with Paw Patrol was, and even still is, a complete and utter understatement. For the sake of my recount, my friend has strictly forbade me from mentioning his name due to a couple of legal reasons that he wasn't allowed to talk about. More on that one later. So, we'll just call him David for the time being. Now, as you all know, David is obsessed with Paw Patrol. This may have been stemmed from his autistic behavior, as he is, and still is, a diagnosed autist. So him getting crazily obsessed over a show like this wasn't really that out of the ordinary for him. You see, when David saw something that he really enjoyed, he went all out on it. Writing stories, making artwork, hell, even making scripts if he had the time. This would normally go around for about a year or so before he would move on to something else. However, in this case, he really stuck with the Paw Patrol series like Gorilla Glue. As I am currently speaking, it's been well over 4 years, and his love for Paw Patrol only continues to grow more and more. He even told me once that he was going to try and become an animator so that he could, one day, work for the company that produced the show. Of course, I was rather supportive of this, as I always managed to help him have a more positive outlook on things, whether it be through good times or bad times. In fact, as a bit of a confession, I actually really loved David. Like, really loved the guy. Despite his mental disability, he was really someone that I not only deeply cared about, but also was an inspiration to me as well. He taught me that whatever it was that I did, to never give up on what it is that I truly love doing. And I love that man for it. However, I never really did get the opportunity to confess my feelings for him, for a few good reasons. Reason number one is family's crazily religious and wouldn't even allow for the two of us to be together in that manner. Secondly, his family is also the one that's helping him financially, and if they were to find out that me and him were a couple, he'd really be screwed, which would only fill me with extreme guilt about what I've done to him. And lastly, I don't really know how he'd feel about it. I mean, whether or not he'd love me back or reject me or completely lose his mind is a really tough bet to make. Although despite all those things, my main desire is for Daniel to be happy and healthy, and if confessing my love to him would either ruin his life or make it harder on him than it should be, then I'd rather just stay and be his best friend. It's not exactly easy for me, but if I truly love Daniel, I'd make the sacrifices that I can so that he can live well. Better for that than to me than to give in to my own selfish desires. However, if there was ever a day that we could live happily together without any kind of judgment and properly financially stable, then that's when I'll finally give the opportunity to admit my feelings to him. My apologies if that kind of went off on a rather boring tangent, but I thought that if I had made this a little bit more, made a mention of a better backstory, kind of help you all understand what led up to this, but whatever. The episode was something that more or less was more of an experimental episode that David had made on his own time, that he had uploaded to YouTube some time back than an actual official episode. I know that might sound a bit disappointing for some of you guys out there, but understand though that even after all of this, it was so well done and just downright disturbing at times that I had to include and make a story out of this. I had watched the episode a few times before it had gotten taken down by Spin Master, and let me say, whoever it was that he managed to get the voice actors to act the characters out, they did a really good job at it. But still, the content of the episode kinda made me wonder what was going on in my friend's head when he was making it. The episode started off with the typical Paw Patrol theme song and intro, same animation quality and the like that each and every Paw Patrol episode had, which was probably the reason why it got taken down in the first place. Then, once the intro had ended, it faded in to show the startup of the episode with a nighttime view of the Pups' tower. Now here's the thing. Other than the intro and the outro, the rest of the episode was completely animated and designed in Blender by David, hence the slightly unhinged graphics and animation quality. The scene that panned over towards the pup house, with all the pups sleeping in their respective dog houses, while panning over to each of the pups in the process. Then, once the camera had finally gotten up to Chase, the pup tag on Chase's collar immediately lit up, which caused the young German shepherd to slowly awaken. Oh, hey guys, Ryder needs us or something, Chase said in a groggy manner before getting up and making his way towards the pup lookout. The other pups also noticed their collars glowing as well, groaned in annoyance, and slowly got up and followed Chase. Marshall, on the other hand, sprung up into action while wearing a sleeping mask, and immediately began running towards where the pup tower was at, knocking down a few of the pups in the process before slamming into the elevator. Huh? What just happened? Was I sleepwalking again? Marshall said as he took off his sleep mask, only to be met with the annoyed, glaring stares of the other pups, who had already made their way into the elevator. I'm guessing that's a yes then, Marshall said, cringing a little bit. Everyone nodded their heads before a typical animation of the pups getting lifted up into the elevator played, with them stopping in the middle of the floor to put on their gear for about a few seconds. Upon doing so, the scene cuts to show the inside of the top floor lookout, with everyone simply begrudgingly walking towards the center of the room, with serious yet tired expressions on their faces. Everyone then made their way to the center of the room, sat down in their usual spots. Chase spoke and said, "Ready for action, riders, sir." That was the only thing that was done, before everything went silent. Ryder didn't approach them. There was no screen coming up. It was just pure and absolute quiet. The pups all looked confused, and Chase decided to say the same line again. Ready for action, Ryder, sir? Chase called out a bit louder. Still, there was no response. Ugh. Please tell me this wasn't a false alarm, Sky groaned. Guys, I think Ryder must have fallen asleep on his pup pad again. Chase groaned again. Everyone then let out a loud moan, and soon began muttering to themselves about how it was late, how they all needed their rest, and even Sky wound up telling Chase to start going to Ryder's bedroom from now on, and make sure that his tablet was on the nightstand charging so that incidents like this wouldn't happen again. To which Chase agreed. Just as the other pups were about to leave the lookout, the screen that normally pops up with either message or a video came on, only to show a rather blurry-looking video playing in the background. The other pups immediately turn around in fright as they try and see what was going on the screen. There was no audio playing, just a faint outline of Ryder running away from something and what looked to be a darkened home. As soon as the clip began, it ended with the signal being cut and the TV shutting off. What was that? Rubble asked. No idea, but that might have been Wida calling us, Emma said. Zuma, what in the world would Rocky be doing out in this kind of house at 3 in the morning? Chase asked. Just as Zuma was about to say something, a ding came from where Ryder's room was at. Chase immediately ran into the room, and then found Ryder's tablet right next to the bed, with a single message on it. Chase grabbed the device with his teeth and then made his way back where the other pups were at. Chase? Why do you have Wida's tablet? Zuma asked. There's a message on it. I think it might be for us, Chase said. The camera then panned over towards the message as Chase opened it up. When the message popped up, Chase read it aloud. Pups, I don't know if you guys got this message or the video or both of them, but if you did, I need about as much help as I can get. Yes, this is Ryder calling you, if you're wondering. The reason I went out to begin with was because I got a message from what I thought was Farmer Yumi, asking me to help come and go and take her home from the old abandoned house in the outskirts of town. Now, I was a bit confused as to why Farmer Yumi would be out there late at night, but I had to go out there and get her. Seeing as how this wasn't really a big mission of any sort, I decided to let you guys sleep in while I made this quick run. At least I thought it would be a quick one. When I got into the house, I expected Farmer Yumi to be waiting for me at the porch, but she wasn't there. Well, it was starting to rain from where I was at, so I thought that she may have went inside to keep herself from getting wet. When I went inside, I didn't see her in the living room and the kitchen. In fact, I didn't see her anywhere. When I turned to leave, something or someone hit me in the back of my head and I blacked out. I don't know where I'm at, but I need you pups to get to the police here stat. I don't know who's in there with me, but I am not taking any chances with leaving this room. Under no circumstances are you pups to try and go and look for me. This is an order. Do not go and try and find me in the house. This person or thing or whatever is really messed up in a lot of ways, and I don't want you pups getting hurt or worse. Just call the police and then send them the information that I gave you. After you do that, you can go back to sleep or do whatever else that you want to do. I should be back by morning if the cops manage to find me. Do not leave the pup house. The scene then cut back to the rest of the pups, who now had a look of pure fear and horror on their faces. I could tell by their expressions that sleep was definitely not going to be a question for that night for any of them. Everyone remained quiet before Chase grew a serious expression on his face and said, in a rather authoritarian manner, You heard, Ryder. Marshal, go and call the cops and send them the information that Ryder sent you. Everyone else, you can go back to bed or do whatever else you want, but do not leave the lookout unless with the police. Yes, sir, the others said. While the rest of the other Paw Patrol members made their way back into the elevator, Chase was the only one to stay, seeing as how he was alone. The scene then cut to show Chase grabbing his pup pack and loading it up with various items and the like. Once he completed the task, the scene faded out to show Chase making his way towards the pup mobile and home, quietly moving it off to the side of the lookout before hopping in and transforming it into the pup mobile in nearly an instant. As he's about to drive away, a sudden voice causes him to freeze in his place. Chase, what are you doing? The voice was of Marshall, as the camera cut to show Marshall looking back at Chase, who had been caught red-handed. I'm going out for a bit, Chase responded back. Out to where? Marshall asked. To go and get Ryder, okay? Chase muttered. The young Dalmatian's ears immediately drooped low as his eyes grew wide as saucers. What? Marshall said aloud. You're not seriously going to disobey Ryder and go looking for him, are you? It doesn't matter whether or not I disobey him or not. Ryder needs help, and I'm going to help him, Chase answered back before putting on his helmet. But Ryder said that everyone, including you, has to stay at the Pup Tower and let the police handle the whole thing, Marshall said, now worriedly. I'm a police dog, Marshall. I'm part of the police squad as much as they are. Besides, I have the equipment to handle this, and Chase was cut off when Marshall said, You can't just leave us here, Chase, Marshall began. We all need you here. And think of the amount of trouble that you'll get in if Ryder sees you. He'll take away your treats for a week. He'll make you clean the entire base with your paws. He might even kick you off the team if you do this. Chase turned his head a bit to face the Dalmatian, before quickly jumping off the Pupmobile and making his way slowly towards Marshall, with a flat look on his face. Marshall simply backed away a bit, not knowing what was going to happen to him. Listen to me, Marshall, and listen to me good, Chase began. I don't care. I don't care if I lose my treats. I don't care if I have to clean the whole pup house. I don't even care if I have to do everyone's chores for the next 6 months. As for Ryder kicking me out, he'll never do that to me. Okay, still though, you still can't leave without Ryder's permission, Marshall said. Like I said, Marshall, I really don't care. Ryder's in trouble, and I'm gonna make sure of it that whatever that is attacking him is gone, and that Ryder comes home safely. Even if that means getting punished for it, I'm okay with that, Chase said as he got back into the vehicle. But, Marshall began, but Chase simply held a paw and said, Don't even say it, Marshall. You nor any pup here is going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. If anything, I owe Ryder my life after he saved mine when I was a tiny puppy. I'm willing to die for my owner and leader if that means making him safe. If I don't come back alive after this, Marshall, then consider yourself the head of the Paw Patrol group. I trust you with my entire being, that you will be a great leader. Without another word, Chase drove off into the distance, while Marshall simply yelled out Chase's name over and over again. The scene then faded to black for a second, before going back to show the large and dilapidated house, that looked more like a stock 3D model of a haunted home, with Chase's Pupmobile coming into view as the lights clicked off and the engine died out. Looks like the place, Chase said. Better start looking for Ryder. Chase then proceeded to hop down from the Pupmobile and then make his way back to the front door of the house before quickly calling out for the flashlight in his pup pack and making his way into the home. Upon entering, the scene panned out to show the interior of the home, specifically the living room. Now, normally there would be the typical kind of scary items like covered furniture, dust everywhere, and the like when it comes to shows like this. However, the house was just completely and utterly barren. No furniture, no dust, nothing but crumbling walls and broken ceilings. Chase continued onwards, trying his best to remain quiet, yet quick at the same time. I could tell by his facial expressions alone that he really just wanted to get Ryder out and get out of the situation he was in. As he slipped out of the living room and into the hallway, Chase immediately rubbed his backside onto the wall for just a bit, before stopping and making his way along the long hallway. I guess that was probably to track a scent of some sort. Funny fact though, the entire hallway was actually completely lit up with lights, despite the fact that the entire place looked dilapidated, and the rest of the house itself didn't have any other doors except for the one that was at the end of the hallway. Which was odd, but then again though, maybe that might have been through restraints or something on my friend's part. Upon reaching the doorway, Chase slowly but surely opened up the door slightly, to reveal what looked to be Ryder's outline. Ryder, sir? Chase whispered under his breath. The figure moved a bit, before standing up and making his way over towards Chase. Oh, good, Ryder, sir. Come on, we'll get you back to my Pupmobile and... Chase was soon cut off, when what looked like a baseball bat smashed itself into Chase's skull, knocking him out cold with the screen fading to black as Chase fell to the floor with a thud. The screen remained on the black screen for a good 5 seconds before fading back to show Chase, with ropes tied around his front paws, lying down on what looked to be stone ground. Slowly, Chase opened up his eyes and carefully stood up, looking around in a haze. The screen then went into the first-person mode for a bit, before focusing in on Ryder sitting down at the opposite side of the room, with his head down and his hands tied up in the same rope restraints. Ryder? Chase called out weakly. Ryder slowly lifted up his head as if he was asleep, but soon sprung it up as who he was looking at, his eyes growing wide as dinner plates as he saw Chase. Chase? What in the world are you doing here? I told you and the others to stay behind, Ryder quietly scolded. I know, Ryder, sir, but I couldn't just stay there and let whatever it was that knocked you out do anything else to you, Chase explained. Ryder growled a bit, genuinely pissed off at what Chase had done. You and I both know, Chase, that when I give you an order, you follow it, Ryder snapped. You're supposed to be the one that all the other pups look up to. How do you think the younger pups are going to react when they can't find you? That you disobeyed orders? They look up to you, Chase. Who's to say that they aren't going to do the same thing like you did? Huh? Chase, with a slight look of guilt, yet persistence, answered and said, I know. That's why I left before any of the pups could find me. Well, that is until Marshall wound up being the one who found me, but I made sure of it that he did nothing to stop me. Ryder looked at the German Shepherd with a hint of shock on his face. You didn't hurt him, did you? Ryder asked. No, sir, but he did try to stop me. Thankfully, though, I was already in my pup-mobile and I left before he could say or do anything else, Chase said. Ryder blinked a few times before finally saying, Chase, this is an order. You have to gnaw out of those ropes that you're in, get out of this room, and leave the house. Do not wait for the police. Do not wait for me. Go back to the pup lookout, and when I come back, we are going to have a serious talk. I'll happily do that, Ryder, sir, but only after I get you out of here as well, Chase said as he began to gnaw at his ropes. Chase, I didn't ask you to come and save me. You need to get out of here and save yourself. That is in order, Ryder growled. If you're not leaving, then I'll make sure of it that you get out of here, even if I have to drag you out of here with my bare teeth, Chase said flatly. Chase, this isn't the time for that. You need to get out of here. There is no way that you and I are going to both get out of here alive. Please, Chase, you're my best friend. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if anything happened to you, Ryder said, now on the verge of a breakdown. That makes two of us, Ryder, sir, Chase said as he bit off his last restraint. I'm not leaving you alone to get hurt by whatever it was that knocked you and me out. You were and are my owner. You saved me from the streets when I was first born. You gave me a home and friends. You even loved me, but most importantly, you saved my life. And if you think that I'm going to abandon you like this, then you're dead wrong. I'm willing to give my life for you as you are willing to do for me. I'm going to make sure of it that I save you, Ryder, even if it means that I die in the process. Ryder simply stared at Chase with tears in his eyes. He tried saying something to the pup, but instead was met with Chase walking up to him, before he started chewing off Ryder's rope restraints. Besides, Ryder, sir, Chase said while chewing on the restraints, dogs don't live very long anyway, but humans, they live a lot longer than we do. If you were to get hurt or killed, then who's going to be able to take care of the other pups? Who's going to keep the Paw Patrol up and at bay? Who's going to make sure of it that we all stick together? Who's going to inspire us? There's a reason why you're the leader of the group, Ryder, sir. You are our inspiration, our savior. Without you, we'd all either be eating out of garbage cans on the side of the street or be dead on the side of the road. You helped get us back on our feet when we needed it the most. Let me start by returning that favor, by helping you live another day. Ryder simply nodded, and allowed the young shepherd pup to finish up what he was doing. And also, I'd be glad to accept any punishment that you can give me after this. Like you said, I need to be an inspiration to the other pups, but I also need to be an example as well, if any of them break the rules. So do what you feel is needed after we get out of here, Chase said with a small smirk. Ryder simply gave another nod, and soon began standing on his 2 feet. Chase then made his way towards the door and pushed it open with as much force as he could give. Once opened, he gestured for Ryder to follow him, which he did. The scene then cut to show the same hallway that Chase had entered before getting knocked out. He began sniffing the area a bit, before making his way down the hallway and towards the kitchen area. "Come on, Ryder, sir. The exit's not too far away from here," Chase whispered. "How do you know that?" Ryder asked. "I made sure to put my scent on a few parts of the wall to track where I've been. That way we can know and find the exit," Chase answered. As Ryder and Chase made their way down towards the kitchen area, there was a violent rumbling coming from below the floorboards. This triggered both Chase and Ryder to start running as fast as they could down the hallway towards the kitchen. However, as they ran down the hallway, it only seemed to continuously loop over and over and over again, with them starting at the very beginning and getting just close enough to reach the door before going back the same way again. "What in the world's going on?" Ryder yelled. "I don't know, but it's like we've been running down the same hall over and over again," Chase called out. Then, without a single warning, the floorboards of the hallway split in half down the middle, and out of it, a large shadow-like creature started to slowly crawl itself out of the large hole that it made. Its body, well, if you even want to call it a body, simply looked as if it was nothing else more than a deep shadowy figure that seemed to move anywhere it'd like to go to. Apparently, my friend had told me that the figure itself was going to be an axe-wielding psycho, but instead he decided that a shadow-like figure would be enough to kind of more or less make it a little bit more interesting. And I'd have to admit that he was right. This part of the episode then cut to show both Chase and Ryder starting to run away from the creature, with Chase using various weapons and devices from his pup pack to try and subdue the shadowy figure. But it was all to no avail. As they continued to run from the creature, Ryder wound up accidentally tearing one of the curtains, which shot out a beam of bright sunlight which seemed to hit the monster and cause it to shriek and back away, a part of it dissolving in the process. Chase then wound up hatching an idea as he saw the creature writhing in agony. "Ryder, sir, I have a plan. Any window that you see that's covered up here in this hallways, rip off the curtains and let the light out. That should subdue the monster that we can get out of here," Chase said. Ryder immediately agreed, and then started to tear away at any of the curtains that he could find, letting out all the sunlight that was present, causing the monster to fall back and shriek loudly in the process. Just as Ryder and Chase were about to leave through the front door, the shadow figure immediately grabbed at Chase's foreleg and pulled him back down into the hallway, with Chase screaming in the process. "Chase!" Ryder called out. The scene then cut to various parts of the house, as the young boy tried to look for his best friend, only to soon see his friend sitting down at the end of the hallway, his head down but sporting a wide, wicked-looking grin. The camera cut back to Ryder, who now looked absolutely horrified at what he was looking at. He called out to Chase, to which Chase answered by lifting his head up and lunging at his master with a deep snarl on his face, and his eyes were completely grayed over as well. They weren't completely covered up, but they definitely had a gray layer to them. However, upon touching the sunlight, Chase's screams mixed in with the shadows, as his fur and skin on Chase's body burnt away as if it was on fire. To which Chase, who was possessed by the shadow creature, immediately moved back to the darkened spot. Ryder could only look on as he saw his friend try and tend to the burn wound on his paws and lower back. "Chase, are you okay?" Ryder asked, stuttering a bit. No, he's not," Chase replied in his usual voice, but it was obvious that it wasn't his. "You think you managed to find a way to get out of here without anything going wrong?" "Well, guess what, Ryder? Proved you wrong, didn't I?" Chase snarled. "Whatever you are, you let my best friend go!" Ryder screamed. "Oh, I'll let him go. But you gotta get rid of me first. If you can manage to burn me out of him using the sunlight outside, then I'll be gone for good. Although good luck with doing that, because my pain is his pain as well." Every beam of light that burns me inside of here burns him back, but so much worse. Even if you do manage to get me out, your little friend here would have already been long dead at this point. And you don't want that now, do you? The scene cut back to Ryder, who simply stood there, mouth agape as he tried to figure something out. As he did this, flashbacks from when he and Chase had talked in the room flashed for a bit with Chase's words of how he was willing to die if it meant saving Ryder came up in a repeated echo. Once the flashbacks ended, Ryder stood there, tears dripping down his face. He closed his eyes and then said, "I'm sorry, Chase. Please forgive me." And with that, Ryder quickly ran up to where Chase was at and proceeded to grab him without any warning, holding him down hard as he dove into the largest ray of sunlight he could get to, making sure to cover Chase's eyes in the process. The searing skin and burnt fur quickly went and spread throughout his body as the sounds of the monster's screeches and Chase's howls of pain echoed throughout the home. The scene then cut to the outside of the dilapidated home as the screams died off instantly. The police and squad cars were already pulling up quickly into the yard, and the police and other officers immediately made their way to the home, kicking down the door, only to find Ryder sitting down in the middle of the living room carpet, crying his eyes out as he held the now limp, partially burnt, and lifeless body of Chase in his arms. The scene then panned out and then ended as soon as it had started up, and then ended with the credits. After seeing that short film for the first time, I had many questions as to why David had made it, and why he decided to go into that kind of direction with the ending. However, it also seemed as though the company's Spin Master, the ones who own Paw Patrol, wanted to know as well, as not only did his video that got uploaded get removed from YouTube via copyright strike, but he also was served a court-ordered summons to show up and testify his case. Was he getting sued? He to this very day won't tell me, although I have my suspicions that that might be the case, or at the very least it would be a cease and desist order. But I do know one thing though, is that whatever happens, I'm gonna be there by his side no matter what. I wish there was a lot more I could say about this whole experience, but due to legal reasons I can't exactly disclose any other information out. The fact that I had wind up writing about this experience alone is enough to get Spin Master to probably try and tear my ass into pieces. Regardless though, I truly do hope and pray that everything goes by well, and with all the support you guys can give to me and my friend, I know for a full-on fact that regardless of what happens, we'll all truly be safe. Especially him, as well.
In fear and surprise as your eyes widen, your mouth goes dry with each battered breath. You try to scream, your mind begs to leave, glued to your computer screen. The killers they slash, the tapes burn and crash. The cartridge you bought will be your final haunt. The rituals of hate will seal your fate. The tears you shed will be from the fear-gripping horror-driven nightmarish gore-filled, terrorizing, hateful, burning, violent, rage-inducing, knife-slashing, blood-splattering, silent screams. Only time will tell if you will escape this online hell. Your horror-filled obsessions will come with its own regressions. Your pathetic screams will not be heeded in any way, because your nightmares will come at any